Hey, this is Michael with Digital T-Shirt Shop. So I have somebody asked about uh, doing distressed images, and so I thought I would do a quick video showing how I distress them. Now, there could be multiple ways to do this, but this is just what I would do. We'll see if I can talk through this. They specifically asked about Photoshop, but I'm going to show you both how I do it on Photoshop and Illustrator. Personally, I prefer it on Illustrator, and you'll see why. But here's Photoshop. So basically, I've got a distressed layer here. I'm going to take that distressed layer. I'm going to come over to my image. I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to make it bigger so it fits the image. Um, and then what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to turn it white, the distress layer white. I'm going to merge the two layers and I'm going to pull the white out. Okay. So I'm going to right click on my layer over here for my distress layer, and I'm going to go up to blending options, and we're going to do a color overlay and make sure that that's white. Okay. Which we just did. And then I'm going to take these two layers here. I've got to select both layers, so I shift and selected the other layer so they're both selected. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to say merge layers. Okay, so that combines the two of them. Then I'm going to pull the white out, and the white can be pulled out easily in here by going up to blending options. And then see this little bar down here under this layer? I'm going to just draw that back. And you'll notice right in here where I've got a lot of white, this area is filled in white. And I'm going to draw that back, and you'll see the white disappear. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, okay. Now, the thing that you can't see from looking at it at this angle is that all the white is not gone. Okay, white is not all gone. So I'll show you that the white's actually, some of the white's actually still there. So what we'll do is we'll just add a different layer here and change the color of it. And you can actually see a little bit of the white there. And part of this is because there's some, uh, there's soft edges around the um, distressed image that I used, some pixelating. And so as it pixelates, you don't have really clean image, clean edges around everything. So I can get rid of all of this by coming back to my image here, right clicking the layer that I have merged that has the white on it, going to blending options, and drawing this back even farther till all that white disappears. And you can see the further back I take it, the more that white disappears, to the point that there really isn't any white left. Now I could go all the way like that and it's going to make the image look ugly. But I kind of want to find that spot in which there's no white, or it's so minimal you can't really tell. I don't know, that spot might be in here somewhere. Um, then when I go out, you'll see that my image is very distressed. Now, it may not be as clean as it could be. Well, just the distress in of itself is not very clean. Um, but that is how I would do that. Now, again, it's going to depend on what you're printing it on. So if I was to print this on a white piece of paper, I could leave some of that white in there. It's not going to matter. My desktop printer is not going to print white on a piece of paper. So anywhere there's white, it's just not going to show up. The gradient uh, color, where it's the color's soft because of the mix of the white and the base color, will just come out a little bit lighter. It'll just make the edges look a little bit softer. So if I'm printing it on a white t-shirt, I don't technically need to take all the white out as well. I could do less. I could pull out less of the white so that there's not quite as much distressing on the image. Again, it could also be the type of distressing image you use. It could be using a more high resolution image in this case, I didn't use a very high resolution image, but a higher resolution image, excuse me, that has more crisp lines, and you get less of that. It'll work easier. So those are some options, but that in the end is what that would look like. So if I come over here, so I've taken my distress layer here. Now I've got a couple things going on here. So I have my image on a layer here. Now this layer right here are all of my white cutouts within my fish hook here. Down here on this layer, I've got the outline of the fish hook, and then I've got Aloha, and Aloha is still in text. And then here I've got this distress layer. So on Illustrator, I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do unless the Aloha is a Rasta layer. It's not going to work as a text layer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say, or not Rasta, it doesn't have to be Rasta. It can be just a text outline is what it is. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to text and I'm going to say create outline. That's going to make an outline of it, and then I'm going to expand it so it releases each of the layers. I mean each of the letters. Okay. So my Aloha now is vector. My fish hook is vector, and my distress layer is vector. So it's my little distress pattern there. Okay. So I'm going to take my distress pattern here and I'm going to just bring this over the whole image. Now this, in this case, this is going to work better if my distressed layer is just a complete different color. So I'm going to actually change it to green. Make it green right there. I could technically make it white too, but I want to be able to see it. Okay. So I do have white in here. I'm going to have to pull the white out anyways, but I'm going to make it green because it'll be easier to see. So then I'm going to select all three of my layers here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually merge them all in a way that each color in each segment is separate. And so I'm going to use this pathfinder down here where it says divide. And I'm going to click on that. It's going to take it a second to do this, but it will make it all one flat image with all the edges kind of going around each other. And this is going to allow me to go and just pull the colors out that I want. Now, depending upon what you're doing, so now you see I've got my image down here disappeared. I can close that. I can close that so you can't view those, but my image is there. So my whole image is actually on this layer now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a color. And I'm going to pick one of my colors here. And then I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to actually select same fill and stroke. Okay. And what that should do is that should go and that should select everything green. So I selected something green. It should have gone and selected everything green around the whole image, and then all I have to do is hit delete. And you can see all that green is gone. Now you notice as I highlight so if I go and I go to select, this is one of the quirky things about it. So if I go and I select the whole image, you can see that there's some little spots around the image. Now, if you were to leave it at this, and I've done this before, and I exported my image into a PNG, and I've gone and I've printed it, and I'm like, what the heck is that? It's got like a little dot showing up somewhere on my shirt that was completely unexpected, and it's because it didn't actually pull all the color. There are some other colors that are in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a couple of these and then go and do it again, same fill and stroke, and delete those and see if that got rid of everything. Now that came pretty darn close. The other thing that I need to do is make sure that I have no white in here. Now I know that some of these had white in them, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing here, same fill and stroke, and delete those. Now at this point, I should have an image that that's clean all the way around. I don't have any of those little speckles around. I can go ahead and I can drop another layer in here and then go and inspect that a little bit closer. And I'm going to change the color of that so that it looks like I need to actually do that differently. Like that. And change the color of that layer. Oops. Like this. Oh, that's weird. Oh, I gotta make it so I can view it. So let's come in here and take a look at this. Let's zoom out just a little bit. So you can see that looks pretty clean all the way around here. So I grab the hand. How about do that instead? My white's gone. I'm looking around my edges. I don't want any miscellaneous dots somewhere in here that don't look as though they're part of the image. And it doesn't look like I have any of those left. There is a hint. I mean, it does appear that just the way the computer screen's making it look like there's a hint of white around some of the edges. But as you zoom in on these, you can see there's no white on there. I mean, it's just complete vector shapes. It's very clean. So there you go. In this case, so we'll delete that layer. We'll zoom in here and we'll compare these two. So we have that one right there. This is Illustrator. And again, you can see maybe I'll zoom in a little closer. You can see the level of distressing, and then we showed you earlier how clean the lines are in there. And then we have this over here in Photoshop. So personally, if I was to do it, I would do it in Illustrator and then export this image and open the image in Photoshop. Then Photoshop, now again, there are ways to do this better again, and it probably starts with a distress layer that has a better resolution to it, cleaner lines. You're not getting all the pixelation around your lines and your images that causes it to have to take more of the image out. I don't think that is near as clean as this. And again, if we zoom in on here, it is actually, I mean, they're clean. There's no white in there, but at the same time, in order to get all the white out, we had to take quite a bit more of that image. So anyhow, that's how I would do it. Distressing those two images, one in Photoshop, one in Illustrator. If I was to sit down and again go view somebody else's tutorial, there's probably another way to do it, a better way to do it. My preferred method is using Illustrator, but not every image is in a vector format, and so it's, it does help to know how to do it in both. And that's just kind of what it is. Hopefully that helps somebody. Good luck. Don't forget to subscribe to Digital T-Shirt Shop. Thanks.